Story time. So let's say we have some bridge, and it's spanning some distance. And let's say we have Anderson standing on it, walking across this bridge. So nice, happy story, right? Well, let's add something nefarious. Let's add an evil student who wants to pass whatever it takes. He'll do anything except study. And so let's pick a good evil color for this student. And let's give him some scissors. Just a gigantic pair of scissors. And let's say he cuts out part of this little rope bridge I'm standing on. Snip. And if you can't tell, this story is in parts. So I'll go ahead and label these part 1 and part 2. So now we have the same bridge in part 3. But now the rope is hanging, and of course we still got the other side with our evil students so happy. And Anderson's hanging on for dear life. So we draw him hanging on while this rope is swinging. It's sort of swinging in this circular, momentary direction. So moving on to the next part, Anderson's still swinging. So he's still hanging on for dear life while it swings. But every good story needs a hero, a superhero, and it's Mathman. Here he comes to save the day. And of course we give him a cape. And he catches the rope bridge and he flies it back up. And so in our final part, Mathman is keeping me from falling. So you might ask, or I might ask, how is this working? Well, as we saw, I was applying a moment to the bridge. We'll call that moment 1. And if there's nothing to fight that moment, if they cut the bridge, well, then I fall. But if Mathman comes along, he can fight that moment with his own counter moment. And we'll call that moment 2. Let's go ahead and draw a moment here to cancel out moment 1. So basically, I'm saying if we're pinned here, if the bridge is pinned on one side and held together, and not pinned on the other side, well, the side it's not pinned on, there's a momentary force. There's a momentary force going upward. And there's a reactionary force on both sides. There's a reactionary force fighting my weight. And my weight, of course, applies moment 1. And the reactionary force here on the right causes moment 2, which we substituted for Mathman. And so let's call this point C. Let's call this point B, where my weight is, and let's call this point A. So this would be reactionary force C on the right, and this would be reactionary force A on the left. And so what's the point of this story? Well, we already know that the sum of all forces has to equal 0. So these 1, 2, 3 forces have to add up to 0 for this bridge to be static. And the forces are, of course, reactionary force A, reactionary force C, and my weight. Those 3 forces will add up to 0. But we also know the sum of all moments have to equal 0 as well. And that's moment 1 applied at my weight, and moment 2 applied at reactionary force C. So equals moment 1 plus moment 2. And of course, there is no moment where there's a pin, and we'll talk about that more in detail in the next video.